This is day 552 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. It would be greatly appreciated. And we're doing Simon Shin Chav Ches, Sif Lamed, and Sif Lamed Zayin. Lamed. Short Adam Kilurim Be'erev Shabbos Nosa Gabein. A person can soak this kind of salve before Shabbos and put it on the eye on Shabbos. It only looks like he's washing. For Lamed Zapata, it's only if he doesn't blink. Shlo Yanir Head is that it shouldn't be clear that it's done for medical purposes. This type of salve doesn't look like it's medical. After baraka, as long as it's soft. It's a thick cream. Then it looks indeed like a medication. Mishmur adds that it should be also because you might smear it. Marech. Even though when it's moist, liquidy, it also looks a little bit like a medication. Unless they want gozer on this. Hashem says, "I'm afraid you might come from this to actually grinding herbs to make medication." Shabbos is the only allowed you to soak them from before Shabbos. Ikakera, there is a sign that it's a unique circumstance. It says here in the brackets, "Can you the fire?" That's the way Arukh HaShulchan understands it. And the primary reason is because in their day, also healthy people do this for pleasure. Tosfos customary dafka than buried. This is talking about a healthy person. Rashi, no mashkein, Rashi doesn't seem to say that. But here they say by us to put this kind of ointment in the eye would definitely be forbidden. Then bring merkilim bazeh. People who are healthy do not do this. They only do this for healing. I don't know what malady we're talking about, but let's say a person has pink eye on Shabbos. So pink eye is highly contagious, and I assume that would be enough of a reason to actually use the ointment on Shabbos. But again, it would be better if one put it a little bit out, and so to avoid the blinking. But even if not, I think that's considered to be sufficient reason to apply the ointment on Shabbos so it doesn't spread further. You can remove scabs which are on top of a wound on Shabbos, and you can massage the place where the wound was with oil. But now with milk. Now with fat. Because it dissolves and becomes it's like nolad, molding when the solid becomes a liquid. Mishmur says that the same thing is true with congealed oil, that there will also be molded. The lake of Tzara, even if already it's at the end of the healing process, there's no Tzara from the scab, no anguish from the scab or from the wound. You Sika by Hashem Rak Shem Tanu, and the anointing with the oil is only for pleasure purposes. It's also permissible. The Sika Lona has so many olam. Anointing with oil is never forbidden. What's happened to Shin Chav Zayin? It doesn't look at your healing. That's why you can't put on it oil and hot water mixed together. This is not for. That is clear that it's being done for healing purposes. You also can't put the oil and water on a cloth, because you might squeeze it. But also, and even water by itself would be awesome time for that reason. But oil by itself, where the issur of skita is not because of laundering, but only because of extraction. That only applies when you need the liquid which is coming out. That you can put that on the cloth. So that's what not allowed to put hot water or oil. That's only on the wound. You can put it outside the wound, but shows it and let it flow onto the wound. It seems less so. Again, we don't do this oiling on a weekday. Also, you're not allowed to anoint the scabs of the wound with oil, because again, it's not customary for us. It's good by us to be done feeling. Mishnah says he wants to say that even in our areas where we don't anoint wounds with oil, you're also allowed to put it outside the wound and let it flow down, drip down to it. So it's more makel than Arukh HaShulchan than that. And he also says that at the end of when the wound is basically healed, also in our country it's permitted to put on that oil because that's being clearly done for tainug, not for refuah. Lamed Beis. No steam sfog v'chatichos b'gadim yivashim. You can put a sponge and put a piece of dry cloth, chadashim, new dry cloth, ala maka on the wound. Minesh ein refuah. They're not for healing. El kadesh l'isatu b'gadim samaka, but that your garment should not scratch the wound. Amalei gadim mishenim, but not from old garments. Shem rabim esamaka. Okay, I guess in the healing standards of the day, they believe that old garments somehow contribute to healing the wound. With sfog, gam yashem muter. With the sponge, even old sponge is okay. Bishop was not so sure about this. He thinks it might be also. The near this sfog muter gam is sfog she may easily she sofegas my mesocha. If he says a sponge is also okay, even a sponge which actually draws water. I thought all sponges do. Also a sponge of wool. Misas Rabbi Chanina ben Tradion, like the case of Rabbi Chanina ben Tradion, who was wrapped in the Sefer Torah, and they put on him Svogin Shel Tzemer, they put on his heart that he shouldn't die so quickly. The executioner came and removed them. So it says, they put it on his heart. So it seems that they made to hold water, so therefore he's not sure, are they like a classic sponge or like clothing with tzarchin? It's not clear. That which old clothes are that said they were never put on a wound. You kvar on this wound. I mean, when you kvar al they were already on this wound, I feel you can put them back. I mean, they do shuv and because they've already done all the healing they're going to do. Now they're only protecting. You can put a leaf on a wound of Shabbos. They say because it doesn't heal. It preserves it. Shouldn't scratch against his garments. Obviously, bandage would be the same thing. Except for grape leaves, which heal. Also, other leaves, if they're known to be healing, it's also. Koshken Shositain Zalv Alamaka, certainly not allowed to put a salve on the wound. Chain ain't no steam Gemi Agabe Maka, that's supposed to put some sort of hemp on the Maka, and they should Gemi Rape because this hemp is healing. Because it's only in a Maka where it has no danger, it's not really considered to be a sickness. But the wounds, which are very dangerous, according to doctors. If the dangerous for the whole body, have a kidney cholesterol, but it's like a chole who is in danger. If it's only danger to a limb, also any Yehudi that a non-Jew should do it. This is Rabbana they add some kush's barn. This Rabbana can't be done by the Yisrael himself. Does that tell you a call if the deep brass off in the soil? Let's do what the doctors assess the situation. I don't think this also is antiseptic. If you have an antiseptic, then it shouldn't use the salve because of the problem in mareh. But the generic antiseptic, that would be okay because that's to prevent infection, not to heal. Lamadal, now of Shabbos, you have a bandage on your wound from Erev Shabbos. This bandage is specifically a piece of garment in which they smeared a cream for healing. Shabbos has to come on Shabbos, it fell off. Enough la'aretz asov here. If it fell to the ground, it's kind of like removing a pot from the oven for chazara. Here too, if it fell on the ground, it's also put it in here, can't put it back in the wound. It's not because of the problem of refuah. Because he started from before Shabbos, so that's not a problem. But we're afraid they might smear it when he sees that the smearing is not intact. And when you smear, you're chai because of smoothing. Enough Gabi Cleave, it fell on a vessel, Yachas the Zeu commotion Nishmatam Klema, because that is regarded as if it just moved from its place. It pushed a bit of up the arm or something like that. The Vayim Mutav Zeu, you're certainly allowed to put it back in its original place. The prohibition is lifted off the ground. Now, which is like putting it down a new, fresh time. The Stalka Maisa Rishon, the first Maisa is gone. It's like putting on it for the first time on Shabbos. For Lom enough not where it fell in a vessel. You put it back, should be careful not to tie it with a knot. Sharatzin says if the knot is made to take out every day, that's okay. Okay. But in any event, the Arukh HaShulchan doesn't hold that way. He says you should make a knot, El just a slip knot. The actually time being the feel that which we allowed when it fell on a vessel. It's only if it fell off on its own. I mean, we see Rabbi Skaven, but if you deliberately remove that bandage on Shabbos, also allow zero now to put it back, those arguments say it's okay. Mr. Bura says it's possible if you take it off in order to fix it, then you can be lenient. If you have a lot of anguish, put on this medicated bandage by a non-Jew, even lechatchila on Shabbos. Mr. Bura says no, only if it's a little bit sick on account of the wound, because it's not just like a plain ache where you can't do anything. The Zevati is still Erev Shabbos. All this talk about bandage, which is this medicated bandage prepared for Shabbos. I was supposed to in a Yehudi to tell non-Jew associate of Shabbos to make this medicated bandage on Shabbos, like the marcha mixas beged, to smear cream on a bit of a garment. Tav shvuz gamor, that is completely Issur Rabbanon. Also, if he inside that's forbidden, therefore, even if he's in anguish, unless he is completely sick in all his body because of the wound. Even though there's no danger, you can tell the non-Jew, lassus to make him a bandage, and put on the wound, different type of wound, and of course, if there's a danger to limb, also, mutter. Lamed hey, if you have a bandage on the wound before Shabbos, you can on Shabbos uncover part of the bandage, and to clean the opening of the wound. Come and put that part of the bandage back. And then open the other part of the bandage, and clean also there. Come and put it back. Also but you can't clean the bandage. Because then you're smearing. You should clean the place on the body where the wound is. A wound which healed, you're allowed to put on a bandage to prepare for Shabbos. There's no, they did not forbid this. But that came which ain't so also because at this point you don't need it for healing anymore. Elishim or Bama just for safeguarding it. And at this point, you might come to grind spices. It's not just this a medicated bandage. You're not allowed to put the on a wound which is not healed yet. I feel ever makla, but even ashes, which is from a fire. Now it's time ever. Makla is not a significant word here. It just means ashes. I say makos can't put in the wound because it heals it. Only through a non-Jew allowed it. If he has a lot of anguish, that's all the Kachin needs it. But that you have to know, give a mikdash, and hanachos with the chatchila. Base mikdash, they allowed putting on a bandage the chatchila. In other words, eat deliberately on Shabbos. If you ain't shvus by mikdash, not all, but some Yisrael Rabbanan were not upheld in the were not in effect in the Mishkan, in the base of mikdash. It says in brackets Mishnah Erev and Kubeis. Somebody some to the mikdash. It says you put back a bandage on Shabbos. That you can even put it on. If you see the Rabbit says, hey, that's not what it says in the Gemara. And Rabbit says, my Mishnah says the Rabbit's gears is incorrect. He was like, this is Shalahi. Arukh HaShulchan says, no, it's not necessarily wrong nusach, because Machzirin tolerates other interpretations. The Machzirin, the Mishnah, appears in Mishnah, Perusho, Hanach means to put on there initially, deliberately. Perush Rashi Shah. The Masaka B'Shas Avodah, you took it off when you did the Avodah. Maybe you had it on before, but you took it off the time you did the Avodah, and now now you put it on again, and even though it's Machzira in a technical sense, it's like putting on the Chatchila in terms of halacha, and nevertheless, because it's ancient Mikdash, Ayin Shom Beduk. Line of Vav, Hamapish Chem B'Shabbos. If you pop a blister on Shabbos, in order to expand the opening of the wound, there's a Rofimo seem like doctors do. They want to open, they want to expand the opening. Like sometimes they put a shunt in there or something to drain it. That is Issa Doraisa a Makar Patish. That is the malacha of a doctor. That is one interpretation. That's from, don't say who it says from. The halacha says, interesting. The halacha said that would only be if you expanded the hole with a tool, but not if he did it with his hand, because that's not how doctors work. That's interesting. For Rashi appears, Rashi says you need bone pesach, because construction of an opening, or fixing the blister. Acharam goes to Vitam Makapatish. Ram writes that it's Makapatish. If you puncture it just in order to remove the pus. I'm not concerned if it actually gets cleared up, gets closed up again after you remove the pus. That is mutter to do initially and deliberately. It is not a complete malacha at all. Certainly, according to those whole malacha done for not for its purpose in the Mishkan is pater. Here, it's not being done to make an opening. You're doing it in order to drain the pus. After the chatchil asur, even though malacha shein tzur gufa is asur, at least mirabbanan, nevertheless, they're allowed because of the anguish of having that blister. It's better to do it by nodule if possible. The Mishnah Berurah says even if there's blood with the pus, it's okay because that blood is considered to be already separated from the body and not being extracted from the body. And Arukh HaShulchan says that later on, Sif Lamed Zayin, as we shall see. On the Piskei Mishnah Berurah. The halacha also writes that it should be mutter even with a keli, but the Magen Avraham and Taz seem to say it's only mutter to do with one's hand and not with a keli. But next case, the keli is mutter. You can dig in with a needle to take out a splinter. Be careful not to take out blood. Shabbos, not to make a wound on Shabbos. Interestingly, Mishnah Berurah here's Mako says that where you can't take out the splinter without making a wound, it's mutter. Obviously, that's Davar Shein Miskabeh and probably not a Psik Reisha. Certainly not Shein to Lagufa. Lamed Zayin. Anashim Sheish Lem Afturin Al Yedeim L'Refuah. This is they have some sort of like shunt on their hands for refuah. Hashem Nukavim Tummy, which are always open, the body's always open. Shanis Tamanekib, if the hole is closed, no Sitoko Kidney or Shipotah, they put in little legumes to keep it open. It's not clear if you can put those legumes into a Shabbos in order that it should open up. Because you want it to always be open, it's like for making an opening faster. But you could say since the hole was already there for Shabbos, it's okay. So to me, it's not an issue of making an opening, but rather you're doing it in order to remove whatever pus or liquid is inside the body. Because no, not only that, no, not that. He says because that which got stuck up is because of the moisture. So you're trying to move the moisture, the pus, which got stuck in the opening. The legume somehow removes that pus. It doesn't allow it to create more pus. So nevertheless, sometimes it gets stopped up anyway. Why shouldn't it be like popping the blister to remove its pus? Mishmur is not sure about this. He leaves it tzarich here. We can retail a ftura to put a bandage on this shunt. I get probably something like an IV. How you call makos? It's like I guess not because why would you need a bandage on that? But okay, wherever this opening is, to put this medicated a bandage on it. How you call makos for usher that was done for healing. It's forbidden. L'shmir or mutter. If it's for preservation, it's mutter. Allows a ritia, but then he says the Ravan seems to say that's also. Urotzi lecha mutter name at the remove the pus is more permissible. Vavagav she yoitze. Apple by piece she yoitze imalecha, and it comes out with some. That's explicitly what the Mishnah say for. Even though it comes out with the pus, also gamadam. And midam abuloguf. It's not from the blood which is absorbed in the system of the body. The dam mako the mefka pocket. It's blood which is trapped in the wound. If there's a piece of garment on the wound, you can switch it for another one. The first one gets disgusting. As long as it's not a medicated bandage. You can't scratch boils or pimples on Shabbos to the point that blood starts coming out. The dam's yaguf. This blood comes out of the body. It's not separated in a bubble. The bracket says here, I'm going to run Sham Shkas Lashon Mash, the Chiv, the Mapis Musa, Lasos Pafilu, Shoy Nekava, Machiva, and Sham. The Magav wants to say that the Chiv of where you pop a blister in order to have an opening is even though already wasn't opening, they just want to expand it. Vaday came the Rama the Chiv Shumakabatish. That's true, because Rama was the Chiv because of Makabatish, because expanding it is Gemar Malocha. Ava Larash, the Chiv Shambino Pesach, according to Rashi, that's the obligation because you're building or because of opening or making opening. And a Rakshi saw some the Chiv is only obviously when it was stopped up and you opened it up. It went from completely closed to open. Rashi, Daf Kuzayin, Ayin Sham, Viduk.